Inception was a complex sci-fi trailer that blew the minds of many of us due to its stunning bending buildings and staggering finale. But what's the science behind these shared dreaming experiences? Before starting with the shared dreaming machines and Inception concept, let's see a simple concept which is constantly approached during this movie that recently has gained a lot of importance for science.
An idea. Resilient, highly contagious. Once an idea has taken hold in the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate. An idea that is fully formed, fully understood, that sticks. Right in there somewhere.
And that right in there is our subconscious. Neuroscientists have established that the conscious mind runs the show only 5% of the time, while subconscious mind shapes 95% or more of our life experiences. This means that the decisions like what we eat, do or wear every day are mainly controlled by ideas that were prescribed in our subconscious a long time ago, more precisely during our first 6 years of life. And the repercussions of this are not only seen in vain actions as what we eat or wear, but also in things like allergies, diseases, or physical conditions, this being the reason why science has begun to pay more attention to our subconscious, which remains as a mystery. What we know for sure is that Leonardo DiCaprio's statement in Inception cannot be closer to reality. Once an idea has taken hold in the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate. Now, the central plot of the movie obviously is Inception.
What do you want from us?
Inception. Is it possible?
Of course not.
If you can steal an idea from someone's mind, why can't you plant one there instead?
Surprisingly, we are quite close to accomplish this. The concept of Inception is already a reality, at least on mice, thanks to the investigation of a group of researchers from ESPCI Paris Tech. The researchers put a group of mice into a maze where they were able to go freely all around to find cheese. Meanwhile, with the help of electrodes implanted into their hippocampus, the region of the brain associated with the memory formation, they recorded their neural activity. And since the neurons react to specific places, the researchers were able to identify spikes in activity associated with specific locations. For example, every time the mouse passed through a specific place, a specific neuron was activated. Therefore, just by looking at the neural activity, they were able to know the exact position of the mice. They continued to monitor the mice brains while they were asleep, and they found that the neurons that they had registered before were still firing in the same patterns, meaning that the mice were dreaming about the maze. So then, they decided to manipulate their dreams, producing a reward sensation using electrical stimulation. Whenever a specific place cells were active, they created a positive association with a particular place. Even if the mice were just dreaming about it, they made them feel as if they were getting the cheese in a specific place. And what they found is that when the mice woke up, they went directly to those places associated with the reward. This means that they were able to develop a link between a specific place and a positive sensation during the mice's dreams, leading them to believe that what they saw in the dream is what they experienced awake. Does that sound familiar?
That way when you look at your totem, you know beyond a doubt that you're not in someone else's dream.
Of course, it's not as elaborated and complex as the 3 dream levels in the movie, but still as effective. Unfortunately, this study won't be replicated in humans anytime soon, because to do so, we'd have to insert electrodes into our brains, which means opening our heads with the risk of infections and other consequences. However, Karim Benchenen, the neuroscientist that guided the mice research, thinks that we might be able to accomplish this with the help of a functional magnetic resonance imaging. In simple words, this is a machine that scans our brains and, using a brain pattern analysis, reproduces images of what the subject is looking at or thinking about. So then, what does all this mean? Well, that by using fMRI and neuronal stimulation, Inception is possible. Maybe not yet with complex thoughts, but with taking a specific memory and turning it into something positive or even negative. It is important to point out that this research is carried out for medical purposes in the hope to develop new therapies for post-traumatic stress disorders. So even if we can't use Inception for changing people's decisions that can't stop a virtual monopoly that threatens the world, as in the movie, introducing ideas in people's mind is becoming a reality. Oh, by the way, there's no dream machine that uploads a scenario into someone's sleeping mind in which other people can go and share the dream with them. Just if you were wondering. See you next week with a new video.